The AFT Super Twins presented by Vance & Hines is the pinnacle when it comes to flat track racing. But you don't get there overnight. It takes dedication, determination, and most of all, skill to make it to the top. And not everybody gets there the same way. Every rider will take their own path. Today, we'll be talking to two riders who think they're ready to compete with the big boys of flat track. Two-time winner in the production twins, Kolby Carlile, and 2019 AFT singles champion, Dalton Gautier, both make the jump from production twins to super twins this year. Are they ready? We'll find out. This is the AFT Show, presented this week by STACYC. Welcome to the AFT Show. I'm Scottie and Kristen, the voice of American Flat Track, the co-host of the podcast Off the Groove. Of course, you guys know me, but you're getting to know this lady sitting beside me. Let's bring her in. It's Kristen B. Kristen, hey, we missed you that last week. Where were you?
I was actually working on a little film project with a brand that's pretty recognizable, and they are releasing a revamped version of an old classic that I'm in love with, and I'll hopefully be cutting some little snippets of it next week, but I'm really excited. I got to do something out of the ordinary, so work on a little commercial, and it was kind of fun. Got to take off the work boots and kind of dress up a little bit, which was neat too. So, but I missed it, and I ended up having to watch it on NBC Track Pass, which y'all can do. So if you missed the show from last week, or you miss any shows at that matter, you can go back to the NBC Sports Gold app, find Track Pass, and you can watch all of the AFT shows. So I did that to catch up last week because I didn't want to miss all that happened with Carver. I mean, being able to have Jeffrey Carver on and hear his take on what happened, that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting. You know, Carver had to speak his mind. We let him come on and talk about it. I can't wait to have him on again. Hopefully he has a rebound from Volusia because he had some speed. He really had some speed until that he went down. Also, the last couple of weeks, we've talked to AFT Singles Day 1 winner Maxwell. We've talked to AFT Day 2 winner Dallas Daniels, who didn't even make the main the first day. We've also talked to the Production Twins winner Ryan Barnes and your 2019 Production Twins champion, Corey Texter.
And Hammer Jared Meese.
Yeah, man, he was on fire down in Volusia. I don't know if he rides like that all season. I don't know if anybody can touch him.
I think the rest of the field is hoping for the break in the schedule to be a momentum breaker as well, because if not, when Jared Meese gets on a roll, he is unstoppable. So I think that the rest of the paddock is hoping that this break in the season allows for a break in the momentum.
What we do know, Kristen, is he does not like to get beat. He did not like taking that number 1 plate off and putting that number 9 on that bike, and he wants that number 1 back, and it showed, you know, a couple weeks ago in Volusia.
He's chasing it down, and he is a lean, mean fighting machine. Lost some weight in the off season. His goals are pretty set and evident, and he backed it up with that performance at Volusia, that's for sure. But I mean, that jump, the Super Twins class is so tough though, and that's kind of what we've been gathering is that, you know, these riders who are making the jump from the singles to the Super Twins class are really firsthand having an incredible experience, but at the same time realizing how deep the depth of talent is in this class.
Absolutely. Did you see the breaking news earlier this week? I mean, it was mind-blowing.
I saw it. I was scrolling through Instagram and I see it and I go, no way. And I checked my email and yeah, I was so excited to see that another mile was added to the schedule because AFT has been doing a phenomenal job working around COVID and working around the limitations that we have. And they were able to give us what we asked for. AFT gave us the mile. So I'm so excited. And I know you are too, Scotty, because you have been around the series when the series used to race at the Indy Mile and it produced incredible racing. So now to be able to see it back on the schedule, what were your reactions when you first saw that?
It's exciting for sure. I mean, last year they said there would never be another motorized event there ever. They were going to resurface the Indy Miles. They ran the last Hoosier 100 out there, and I was sad. I mean, it's a great racetrack. A lot of the riders love going there because there'll be a groove on the bottom of the racetrack, and then if you get off the groove just a little bit, there's some fluff out there, some cushion that you can work with. Brad and I were actually talking about it. You know, one of my favorite pictures of flat tracking ever is Brad from the Indy Mile when he had that thing so crossed up and so far laid over that you just don't hardly see that anymore. But that's what that racetrack can produce. So I cannot wait to go back there August 21st and 22nd.
And Brad Baker, a former winner on that track, also Brian Smith and Sammy Halbert, active Super Twins riders who have taken wins there as well. Should be stiff competition at that track.
They're going to have a little bit of an advantage because they've won there before. They know going in that they can win there. Also, another rider that won there was Nick Armstrong. He won the GNC2 class back then, and now he's in the production twins class. That'll give him a pretty good advantage too, and his Yamaha seems like it likes going fast on the mile. So those are some of the riders to keep an eye out for. Also, AFT singles riders that won then. JD Beach won 2 times. Jared Vandekoy won once. Both of those guys are now in the premier class, the AFT Super Twins class presented by Vance and Hines.
I mean, you mentioned those singles riders who have won there. So today we're actually going to be talking to a lot of singles riders who have made the jump to the Super Twins class. And Scotty, as a rider, you know what it's like to move up from one class to another, whether it be from a 250 to a 450 or from a 450 to a Super Twin. What is that jump like, and how much does it require as far as conditioning and a change in your program?
It's a huge jump, Kristen. I never went all the way to the biggest class. I went from racing a few amateur races to pro class, and then just getting my points around here locally, then going up to the basic expert class and then I got the chance to ride an 883. So you're moving up from a single cylinder motorcycle to an 883 twin, which was a heavy machine. And then there was a super tracker class where I actually finished 5th at the Indy Mile. That was a whole lot different. There's so much more horsepower. You got to try to hook up the horsepower. You got to try to last longer because the races are longer. So there's a lot more to it than just moving up a class. I think it's, to me, the easiest way to describe it is moving from amateur to pro. Well, maybe going from singles up to the Super Twins class, or even production twins up to the Super Twins class. It's that big of a step. And one thing we've taken away from some of these riders is there's no chance to take a breath. There's no chance to rest. You've got to go hard that entire 12 minutes plus 2 laps. And that's the biggest difference.
100%. And I think it's so interesting to watch the guys who have maybe won a singles championship make the jump and then find themselves. I mean, a lot of the riders I spoke to on race day, Dalton Gautier, Dan Bromley, and of course, Dan's raced in the Super Twins class in years previous in the Twins class, and Kolby Carlile, who made a few starts. And I think it's very interesting because, Kolby and I talked about this at Volusia. He said, when I was making those few starts that I did in the Super Twins class before embracing a full season, I didn't feel like I wanted to get in the way. I felt like I was questioning myself because I didn't want to interfere with these guys. But this year, I feel like I'm ready to jump in the mix, and I'm ready to race for wins because I feel like I belong here. And that's the big question is, do I belong here as a rider? Can I make this transition? And getting over that in your head, I think, has to be one of the biggest challenges.
Absolutely. It is a huge mental thing. I mean, you go out there and now you're racing against some of the guys you might have looked up to your whole life. Mm-hmm. And now you've got to line up side by side and race with them, and it's a huge step. And a lot of it, like you said, Kristen, is mental.
And today on the show, we're going to kind of explore a little bit of that. Kolby Carlile, we're going to be talking to, and I know that you have a long rapport with Kolby Carlile. He cut his hair this year. But he wins the production twins class last year, competed in 4 Super Twins main events. So I think he'll be really interesting to talk to today.
Yeah, I can't wait to get his take on what he learned from the first 2 rounds. The Yamahas are, trying to knock off the Indians, and Harley-Davidsons are too. And speaking of that, our other guest is Dalton Gautier, who's on board the Factory Harley-Davidson Vance and Hines effort, and he has won on the XG 750, the first rider to do so at a Grand National. Now he's trying to do that in the Super Twins class. Right,
the comeback kid. And I will never forget, when he first started in the singles class, I couldn't imagine being on this carousel of bikes and going on to win a championship. And so if anyone can get it done on the Harley-Davidson, I think a lot of people have put their hope in Dalton Gautier to do that,
Yeah, I think so too. And he's got, a veteran teammate in Brian Smith. He's got Ricky Houghton in his corner, and he's got Jared Vandekoy. Out of those 3 riders, Vandekoy's been the most consistent in the Super Twins class. So Dalton kind of fit in right there. He actually passed both of his teammates near the close of the main event on Saturday night down in Volusia. So he's fitting in really well. But again, making the transition is like making the transition from a Strider bicycle to a STACYC bicycle, and then moving up to a real bicycle. And I think these riders are doing it just like the riders we're going to talk to today. So before we get into today's episode, let's get a word from our sponsor, STACYC. And welcome back to the AFT Show. It is time to bring in our first guest. It is the Flying Tomato himself. He had 2 production twins win last year. He actually had an injury in the middle of the season, but finished off with the bang. He competed in 4 Super Twins races with a main investment event finish of 10th. Let's bring him in, the Flying Tomato, Kolby Carlile. Hey, Kolby, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
It's good.
Hey, Kolby.
What have you been up to?
Melting in the Arizona sun. Yeah, no, I just drove back here from New York a couple weeks ago, and the weather was really good there, but I just wanted to get back here to Arizona. We're renovating my house here right now, so I just wanted to make sure everything was going good with that.
So just a minute ago, you showed us an extension of your family, and it turns out you have quite a few of those little extensions. Can you show everyone at home? We got to see behind this. I think that's fun.
Yeah, no, they're actually right here, making sure everything's going good. I don't think they want to leave my side.
What?
We can just run through them all real quick. Another one. Another one.
How many you got?
We got 6 at this house right now.
Are they all related?
3 of them are. I'd show you the other one, but the 2 brothers don't get along at all. I don't think
So
we
you
want
gotta
to
keep
have that kind of content going on.
Keep them separated, huh? Right on. So 3 weeks ago, the AFT Super Twins debut, you were a big part of it. How did it go down there in Volusia for you?
It was good, just glad to get back to racing and everything. And then, we kind of had to shake down our bikes. You test all winter long, and we develop parts all winter and hope everything goes good. And then eventually you just got to put it to the race test, really. Lap times just kind of get irrelevant. And then, the real test is racing. And luckily we were able to have a good race and, no mechanical failures, everything. And we were able to develop some parts and keep going. And yeah, it's just good to see where we are.
Kolby, you said something really interesting to me at Volusia when we were talking about kind of making your full season, your full-time debut in the Super Twins class. And you had said last year, I didn't want to get in the way, but this year, I am here to fight for wins. I'm not worried about getting in the way. Tell me about how your mindset has kind of changed and reset in this season.
Yeah, last year I just didn't want to get in the way, like I said. And now it's just a little different. Now I can be part of the class and just try to keep moving up through the field. And like last year, I was just focusing on the production twins. So now that I'm in the big class, the Premier Twins class, I just want to, work my way up through the field and eventually be leading the class.
Last year, you made 4 main events. You were really on fire last year at Daytona, and then had a mechanical issue. If I remember right, your best finish was 10th at Peoria. What was your biggest takeaway from last year that you're bringing on into 2020?
I guess just like the fitness side of thing. It was a few more laps than what I would normally do. So, like I said with Kristen, I never really, I still put in full effort, but I never went out there to win the races. I just kind of wanted to get experience. So I was able to see what I needed and lacked in the fitness side of the things. And even that now is kind of irrelevant because we're doing 38 laps. But it was good to get out there last year and get my feet wet. The biggest thing that I don't think people see is the difference is the intensity. Like in the production twins class, you could kind of relax for a second, but if you do that in this class at all, you're going to fall off the pace. You're going to lose the draft. You're just going to lose it.
You mentioned kind of training yourself and getting the physical side there. You have so many great assets on the STACYC team between Johnny Lewis being there all the time and JD. Who do you personally look to and maybe get advice from or shape your training around? Is there someone that's your go-to on the team?
Yeah, no, I grew up working with JD a lot until I was like 17, 18. We lived together for a long time, and I was able to kind of pull his mindset into my own. And then lately, I moved to Arizona, so I kind of had to change my program up, and I got dialed in with my buddy Ty McKay. He's got a personal training business, and we talk. We text 24/7 really, and he just keeps me going. And it's so good. It's a small business, so we're at such a personal connection that we can keep building. And exactly, I tell him what I lacked at Volusia, and we already changed our program, and we're going to be better for Indy.
What
Well,
did
you
you
brought
lack
it
at
up.
Volusia in your opinion?
Go ahead, Kristen.
What did you lack at Volusia in your opinion? Just curious, because when I was
think it was
watching
just
the
more
race, it was like
meeting.
wrong.
Yeah, I think it's just more being excited. First race of the year, by the end of the race, my arms were just getting a little heavy. Not super, my lap times never dropped off, but I couldn't quite push at the end like I really wanted to. But first race jitters, the heat and everything. The second day was better. So I'd say that it was mainly just first race jitters.
Kolby, you brought up Indy. It was just released earlier this week that we're going back to Indy here real soon, just a couple of weeks. In 2015, you raced there, got 8th in the GNC2 class. Is there anything that you can remember from that race? I know it's a while back that you can bring with you to 2020.
Yeah, don't get run into. I had a kid last time I was there. Must have forgot his brake pedal was on the right side or something. Just smoked me. Luckily, I didn't get hurt. I actually just picked the bike up and took off again. But yeah, no, I honestly don't remember anything. I borrowed a bike that day, and it wasn't like anything I was super comfortable on, and I didn't want to crash it or hurt it. So, but I like that style. It's got a little cushion on the top and on the bottoms of grooves, so it gives us a little option. I'm just glad to be on a mile track, and the Yamaha MT-07 is so fast that it should excel.
Well, let's talk about the haircut. I know we've kind of been kidding with you for a long time. You had some long hair, the flying tomato, the red hair flowing out of the back of the helmet. You had a bet with JD Beach, so you got your haircut first. So JD wins the bet. Is that how it goes down?
Yeah, I still owe him money. I need to find the.
What were the
50
details
again.
of this bet?
It was a long time ago, 3 or 4 years ago now. But it was just first person to cut their hair, not trim, but like go short again, was $50 poorer. But it's tough to give JD $50 because he won't take a $50. He won't take a $50 bill. He's got some superstition around it. So I got to get him some pennies or singles or whatever he wants.
I think it should be pennies.
Yeah, just pay him in pennies.
Yeah, we'll get a wheelbarrow at Indy.
That'd be awesome.
What motivated you to cut your hair? He was walking around the pit that had to do a double take, and I'm like, wait, where'd he go?
I just got sick of it. You spend 3 years or 4 years, whatever it was, with something, and you just want to change. So, and I live in Arizona, and it's like 110 here every day. And the racing it just made life easier, cutting it off.
You mentioned who you've been training with. Does part of your training include bicycling out in that heat, or do you try to stay inside where it's a little bit cooler?
Yeah, in the winter, I was doing a lot of bicycling here. And then when I was back in New York, I was bicycling every day. But once I got back here, I've got a full gym set up at my house and garage that I can use every day with bicycle, rower, skier, the whole deal. So I stay inside. There is some hardcore people here, though, that go out like 4 or 5 a.m., but you'll catch me snoozing then.
I was kind of curious as we started this season, who would kind of be our breakout riders. Do you feel like Volusia was a good gauge of what we can expect from this class?
It's hard to say. It just seems like Volusia, Jared obviously showed what he had and how hard he worked this off season. But no, I don't think Volusia was a great test. I think we need to get a few rounds in. Maybe after Indy, Springfield, I don't think that's a great showing either. Honestly, for a while, we're not going to know it. The season the schedule, they're doing the best they can, but it doesn't have a bunch of variation. Like, we don't have any deep cushion miles or TTs or actual short tracks. So it's just it's going to be a weird year.
Does the schedule, do you think, play to your advantage?
No, I don't think so. Like a Minnesota mile, New Jersey mile, stuff like that. And even the TTs, they're more my style. I still like the clay stuff, but the cushion miles and the TTs, that's where I excel.
So, Kolby, you mentioned the schedule a couple different times. Is there one particular track you're looking forward to the most?
No, not really. I guess
no, I love
it's
the
good to
honesty.
go back.
Thank you for being honest. But then how do you build?
No.
How do you prepare for the season? Like, how do you make it your year?
And sadly, like, there's no one we can blame it on. AFT had a sweet schedule to start the year, but COVID kind of messed that up. So they just did the absolute best they could to get us racing again, and we're all thankful for that. But I'm excited to go to like Charlotte. I've got a lot of memories there, and it's just going to be a good year for learning and getting our bike developed.
What do you think? What would you consider yourself as a successful year? I mean, what you looking for a top 10 in the points? You want a top 5 in the points? I mean, what would be successful for you?
I guess not so much point placing this year. I'm not worried about, I definitely don't want to be finishing outside of the top 10 in like per race. The points deal, I'll worry about that more next year. This year really is just a big building year for getting the bike developed. The Yamaha MT-07, we're working super hard to get it competitive and up to the front. But, obviously there's no secrets. We're a little challenged right now. But we're getting there and we're working hard. We've got a great team of people working on it. And before long, we're going to be running up front consistently every week.
So, opinion question. You have some great all-stars on your team between Dallas Daniels and Mikey Rush in the singles class. And I know some of you guys, while the Super Twins are riding, will watch what the singles are doing, kind of learn from the track. Is there someone you maybe have your eye on in the singles class that we should be paying attention to, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's cool how good my teammates are doing. It's kind of, I was talking to some people, it's tough to pick who do you think will win the championship. Even beyond our team, like that race at Volusia Night 2 was amazing. I actually scared watching it. And I was just talking to a few guys this morning about Indy. It's like, how many of them are going to be in a line from first to, 12, 13, 16? Are they? And all the kids are so fast and all the bikes seem like they're all so competitive this year that I don't know how many are going to be in a line. I'm glad I'm not racing in it right now.
Sounds good. Well, Kolby, thanks so much for your time. We wish you a great success in 2020 and keep working way towards the front, man. We know you can do it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And give those puppies some treats.
I will. They're sleeping.
Welcome back to the AFT Show. Next on the show, we are going to talk with the 2019 singles champion, Dalton Gautier, who took 4 wins in the 2019 season in the singles class, making his jump to the Super Twins class on the Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson. Dalton Gautier, the comeback kid.
Hey, Dalton, welcome to the AFT Show. What's been going on?
Staying busy, Scotty. Getting ready for this Indy Mile coming up. Pretty excited and happy to go racing again. And yeah, just staying busy, training.
So I see you've got some bling bling right here. Now, that's a 79 from what I can see. Is there a story behind that? That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so funny story. Tommy Duma from Tommy Duma Fine Jewelers gave me my championship ring after last year's championship win, and he gave me this as a present too. So it was kind of a little present he gave me, and a super good guy, and yeah, I was excited about it, and it's pretty cool.
Why'd you pick number 79?
So Vance & Hines started in 1979, and me and Terry Vance were talking about trying to figure out what number I should brand myself with, and so it's going to be a number I'm going to stick with for a while now. So 79, I like the number, and yeah, just it's a good branding for myself, I think, and it works out well. So I wanted to try something new. I've always been like 14 or 122 or 22, so it's something new, and yeah.
I like it. It's a good story. Now you get to, when you're not on the bike, live with some pretty colorful characters, and you got some pretty good neighbors with Robbie Bobby living close to you and Morgan Mishler. Have you guys been having fun during the off weeks? I know all the time it's training, but what do you guys do to kind of unwind, and any good stories from the past few weeks?
I mean, whenever we're with Rob, it's always fun. I mean, we're always doing some goofy stuff, but no, when we're training, it's all down to business. But I've been living in Michigan, honestly, lately. Wanted to try something new, and yeah, I've been living with Brandon Kitchen, and Morgan's with me too, and we're all been just training together and the daily routine, just having fun and being motorcycle racers. So yeah.
3 weeks ago, Dalton, you made your premiere, your debut in the brand new AFT Super Twins class. Walk us through the weekend. Was it successful for you with a 7th place finish and 11th place finish?
I'd say the 7th place was pretty good for me. I was happy with it, being at my first Super Twins race. You know, I want to win, but it's a learning year for me, and the only way that I can go and get better is to race with those guys and get all the experience that I can. So yeah, it was good. The second night we struggled a bunch, but it's all part of learning a new bike and learning with the new team and everybody. But we all worked out pretty well, and it was fun. I had a blast, and I learned a lot. So it can only go up from here.
Did you have any butterflies? I mean, as a fan, watching Dalton Gautier make his debut was exciting. But on your end, I mean, are you just so used to it at this point because you do it every weekend, or were there any butterflies? I mean, you got to race with the big boys for the first time.
I mean, I don't really get butterflies, I would say. I wasn't really that nervous. I just go out and race the motorcycle the best I can and know that I put everything out on the track. And so, yeah, I wasn't too bad. I had fun, and I was racing a bunch of new guys. So that was the thing for me, is to figure out how those guys race and everything. But yeah, the competition's stiff, and I like a little bit of a challenge. So it was fun.
Dalton, in 2019, you were a full-time AFT singles rider. You won the championship, but you also made 9 main events in the production twins class, and you won 2 of those. So it was a really busy year. This year, the races are a lot longer. The main events down in Volusia were 37 laps and 38 laps. Do you think the training and all those races last year will help you out here in 2020?
Yeah, so the longer main events was definitely a big help for me. I think my fitness is really good, and it ended up working out really well. I came through the pack as the race went on. That was big for me, and yeah, I'm excited to see how the races go for the rest of the year with the 12-minute plus 2 main laps. So yeah, it was pretty fun.
So Dalton, what did you learn from that first debut weekend at Volusia?
I learned a lot racing with those new guys. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that I've never even raced before, so I've learned so much from that weekend. But learning the bike, learning the team, just everything all together, it's all going to be learning this year. I've said it a couple times where I just need to figure out where I'm going to fit in, and fit in up in the front is where I want to be. So yeah, learning for me is right now is learning the bike is the biggest thing, and it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, but I'm getting there, and I just got to do my best every time I'm out on the track. So.
Dalton, they just recently announced that we'll be going to the Indy Mile. That's going to be the next race. You had a strong showing on the XG at Sacramento, and you were really fast at Springfield with a few mechanical issues. Does that give you some confidence going back to a mile racetrack? I mean, Indianapolis is a little bit different than other miles that we've been going to, but it's got to give you some kind of confidence riding the XG on a mile.
Yeah, me and Robbie Bobby talked about this a bunch, actually. We're really excited to go mile racing. So I'm excited to go to Indy. I've only raced there once. Don't have that much time on that track, but I'm excited to go mile racing. I think the Harley is going to be fast, and I think we're going to be able to be up front this time and show these guys what we're made of. And yeah, it's just I'm excited, and especially for Springfield after that, it's two races in a row where it's mile racing. So I'm excited, and it's double day, so that's even better for me. And yeah, excited to go racing, and can't wait to see everybody out there. And yeah.
I won't ever forget when I first met y'all, I asked Robbie Bobby, and it was probably my biggest mistake that I ever made was asking Robbie Bobby these questions because I always get the funniest answers and I can't focus back on what I'm doing. But I asked him, what do you take away from Dalton's program? Like, what made you choose Dalton to even come out here? And he goes, this could literally ride a popsicle stick. He could ride anything in the world. And when he said that, I didn't get it until that single season where you literally ran just about every bike on the spectrum and you were able to succeed on it. This year, obviously, we knew going into this season that adjusting to the Harley would take you some time and to get the Harley to a place where it needed to be. But you have some you got Brian Smith, you got Ricky Howerton, and despite your ability to kind of ride anything, what challenges have you found in making the jump from the singles class to the Harley, specifically in the Super Twins class?
I mean, the biggest thing is probably adjusting to the bike, just figuring out what it does and everything. It's anything close to the Indian. And that's our main thing, is just we're going to keep getting better, obviously, I think. But the more time I have on it, I'm going to keep getting better, I think. But just the bike mostly. I mean, everybody on the team gels really well together. Nobody fights or anything like that. So it's all in good fun. So yeah, the bike is probably my biggest thing right now, just getting used to it and knowing that I can be up front too.
Dalton, who do you look up to in that Super Twins class? Like, do you model yourself after somebody, or do you get advice from somebody that's in the pit area with you?
Not too much. I mean, Brian helps me here and there with a little bike setup, and me and Jared talk about like our riding styles and how the track's gonna go on as the night goes, but nothing too much. I try not to bother them too much, and I just try to do my own thing. And I'm Dalton Gautier, so I got to do my own thing and ride the motorcycle the best I can and figure it out myself. So
I think it's interesting how you say, I don't want to bother anybody, because I think for the most part, you always underestimate yourself. Whenever you're kind of in a new situation, I've noticed that you tend to like underestimate yourself a lot. And just in our conversations, I've noticed that. And it seems as though in some ways, those riders might actually be coming to you because they value your opinion. They value what you have to say. And even when I was speaking with Brian Smith in the off season, he was like, go and talk to Dalton. He was fastest during testing, because in some of the tests that you guys in the off season, you were the go-to guy on the Harley. I mean, how does that make you feel? And have you kind of accepted that you are better than what you may think sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I just try not to be too cocky. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm riding the motorcycle like I know how to, and that's the biggest thing to realize with me, is that I'm gonna be here for a while, I think. And so I'm just trying to do my own thing. And but if my teammates have questions or anything, I'm gonna help them, and I hope the same for me if I had any questions to ask. So I'm young. I got a lot of time on the Harley so far, and it's just gonna keep getting better. So I have to adapt as quick as I can, I think.
Dalton, I know when I raced, in between my races, I'd go up to the fence or whatever to watch the other races that were going on. Did you get to do that down at Volusia? Did you happen to see the singles class there from Saturday night? I know your friend that you're staying with, Brandon Kitchen, was in the dogfight, and it was an 8-rider dogfight, one of the best races I think I've ever seen. So did you get to learn anything by watching the singles or the production twins, down at Volusia?
Yeah, definitely trying to watch what the track does before the main event, so we don't mess anything up with the bike and whatnot. But watching that singles, man, it brought back some memories, that's for sure. I was hoping I was out there. I was wishing I was out there, but I'm in the bigger class now. So yeah, I'm excited. I was excited for Brandon to be up there in the fight, and definitely shows that he's stepped his game up. And even with Mishler, he's going to be there all the time. So he's been in the class for a while. So I'm excited for my friends to be up there and fighting for wins. So yeah, you gotta watch the track and what it's doing. I mean, if your bike's not right for the setup, you're not going to be anywhere towards the front. So that's my main thing with watching the races and seeing how the track performs out.
Awesome. Do you have one particular track you're looking forward to? I know we're just about out of time here with you, but is there one particular track on the schedule you're looking forward to the most?
I'd probably have to say two of them is going to be Springfield and Williams Grove. Williams Grove is my hometown track, so I'm going to have a bunch of family and friends there. So I want to put out a good showing for them. And Springfield's my favorite track to ride. So it showed last year, and I think this year is going to even be better. I'm going to, I think, open some eyes at that track, and hopefully both. And yeah, I'm just excited to go racing and be on the grind every weekend. So yeah, ready to go racing.
Well, it's going to be here before you know it, man. Congratulations again, being the factory Harley-Davidson Vance and Hines rider, representing the orange and black, man. Good luck to you in 2020. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Scottie.
Good luck.
Thank you, Kristen. Appreciate it.
Well, Kristen, another great show. We got to talk to two new riders in the Super Twins class. I'm looking forward to what they do in 2020. Who do you think is going to win first?
Honestly, I can't tell you that. I can't. I think both of these riders are so dependent on their bike at this point in the series. Every Super Twins class rider is so dependent on their bike, but I think it depends on who gets the bike figured out first. Will the MTD07 be able to get the traction and get hooked up the way they need to? Will the Harley-Davidson figure out its power delivery? These are all things that every team deals with their respective bikes, but those are the big issues plaguing both these riders, and they kind of have to just figure it out. I mean, I don't know how can you say, how do you say who's going to get their first win of the two? They have to beat Jared Mees and Briar Bauman to do that.
And everybody else. So, I think the Indy Mile will be a good chance for both of them to do so. The Yamaha is we know it's fast. It's just having trouble hooking that power up to the ground. And we know Dalton, Brian Smith, and Jared Vandekoy are going to do really well on the Harleys because that is where Vanson Hines is based out of Indianapolis. So Indy Mile, Kristen, is such a fun track. I can't wait for you to experience it in person. And you're going to have a better seat probably than I am because last time I was there, I was on top of the grandstands way up there, and it was hard for me to see anything. You're going to be down there trackside and watching and getting to see how fast they go.
When people ask me why I chose this sport, best seats in the house all the time. The finish line is always the best place to be, and that's where I get to be, and I get the best tickets in the house to watch my favorite sports. So it's definitely fun, and we couldn't do all of what we do without sponsors. So we've got to give a little shout out to STACYC, and I just love that brand. It's so great for kids. My niece rides STACYC bikes, and I love it. She just has such a blast on them between the Strider and then moving up to the STACYC, and she just loves her STACYC bike. It's so much fun. I'll have to send you some pictures later of her on her little stick. She even got the graphics made at the side, Reagan James Beach. She's got her little setup ready to go. So
that is so cool. I wish there were STACYCs around back when I was growing up or back when my daughter was growing up, because it is hard to learn how to ride a bicycle. Well, you got to start somewhere, and the STACYC is a great option to get started. So again, thanks to our sponsor STACYC. Thanks to all you fans for watching. That's Kristen Beat. I'm Scottie Dibbler. We'll catch you next week on the AFT Show.
We all remember our first ride. Mine was 92, 93 PW50 at like 4 or 5 years old. Now with STACYC, these guys have started when they were 2.5. It's an awesome platform to start them off really early.
My kids learned to ride on a STACYC.
Jagger rides STACYC.
We ride STACYC.
My kids ride STACYC. My kids learn to ride on STACYC.
My nephew learned to ride sooner riding on a STACYC.
My kids ride STACYC. My kids ride STACYC.
Ride STACYC.
My family chooses STACYC. I think the elevation of the sport is going to take another turn because these kids are riding so early now because of STACYC.
To victory lane. Over 130 miles per hour. I love it.